Thank you so much for joining me. I'm on Instagram. I got on one of these crazy filters. This guy Yoda. So I'm gonna laugh this whole time. Hey Tawana, thank you for joining. So I'm talking about my wake up story today. I wanted to just share a little bit. I'm going to be on here just for a few minutes, y'all, because I wanted to just come on. I got bee in my bonnet, and I was like, you know what? Let me come on and share a little bit on the social media because right now I'm sharing on Instagram and also I'm trying to see if I can make my ears move. So I'm also on YouTube and Facebook and also Twitter. So thank you for everyone that's joining me. I wanted to just share because I had an amazing interview today with a beautiful young lady. Her name is Lori. Lori and Spania, which it was so amazing. I don't even honestly remember how we connected, but I think that it was one of those things where I somehow was on her email list and I actually sent her a message saying, do you want to interview with me? And that was how that went. And so it was that easy. And so I'm saying that to say that I believe it's that easy for almost anything that you want to do, almost anything that you want to do. So if you make once you make a decision, once you decide that that is what you want to do. And so for me, what happened with me is I began to really go down this rabbit hole trying to figure out who I was or who I am, and who did I want to become, because truly I believe that we are always becoming something. We're always becoming. I don't think the becoming ever stops because I think that we are always becoming something. If you're not becoming something at school, you're becoming something at home, you're becoming something at work, you're becoming something in the street, you're becoming something when you shop in the grocery store. You are always becoming. So, that was one of the things that I wanted to share because it was just so profound to me. And so the interview was amazing. And the young lady she was exactly as I imagined that interview to go because it was just so powerful. And she spoke on so many awesome things. She is an energy healer and she is able to shift energy in ways that is different from other people. And she came to this life in a whole different way. And so that just inspired me and it gave me so much understanding, and so as I began to have my own awakening journey, I think it started really for me. It started back in the end of 2012. 2012, I started to just really try to figure out what did I want out of this life. And I think probably also because I was getting to a place where I was halfway through, almost on the halfway point. Okay, so I was in my 40s. And so I began to wonder, what was it for me in this life? Because, at that time I wasn't happy. I didn't my relationship wasn't good at all. Um, Lord, it was so many things, so many things. And y'all, I'm on StreamYard. So if you give StreamYard your permission, go on StreamYard.com/Facebook and give them permission to show your comments so that I can see them. Because right now I don't have any comments. So with my wake up story, I really just was not happy, and I know that there are a lot of people out here that are in the place where I was, where I just wasn't happy. Nothing was going well in my eyes. I was grateful to wake up in the morning or in the evening or whatever, because I worked night shift at the time. And so I was grateful to wake up. Whenever I wake up, I was grateful to do that. And I was also grateful to sleep because if you have work night shift any length of time, if you're not actually just geared to work night shift, it's really difficult to get your sleeping habits straight. So I had that issue going on as well. But the thing is I was like, I don't know where I wanted to go because I knew that As far as in my career, I was not wanting to go any farther in that, and people always say, "You're smart, you should go back and get your blah 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 blah." And I'm like, "No, I don't want to get any of that." Don't want to do it. Have no desire. None. so, um so anyway, so I just started to try to figure out, who I was, and just try to understand, you know, where I wanted to go, because for the first time in my life at that time, I could actually decide, and I could actually, wonder where was I going? What did I want to do? It was almost like I felt like for the first time I was given a choice. I was given a choice to decide, where do I want to go? There's so many different avenues, there's so many different areas that you can go into. There's so many different things that you can do. And so for me, awakening for me was just like opening my eyes to decide, what did I want? Where do I want to go? What do I want to do? Because for so many, and a lot of women are like this, especially because, we have kids and we have lives and husbands and things, and we're usually the secretaries and all the other things for the husbands. And so, we just don't always have time, or we don't always take the time. Let's say that we don't always take the time to think about us and what it is that we desire. And so for me, I started thinking, and I was like, okay, what do I want to do? So that was one of the things that I did. I sat down and I wrote, what do I want to do? Who am I? And I wrote these things on a piece of paper, just a regular notebook paper, and I just would sit down with it and I would just write what flowed to me. I would sit down, and at the time I didn't realize I was connecting with, my team, and I was just writing down what flowed. What flowed? What do I want? What do I want? And that is something that is huge. It's huge, and it is transformational when you actually take some time and you sit down and write, what do I want? And so that was the thing. And I still actually do that on the regular. I do that regularly, like at least once or twice a week. I still do that. And I've done it now for the past few years now. Not as consistent as that. No, I can't claim that. However, I have done it. And so when I started to just see things, I really just started to open up. It's like my eyes began to open up to things that probably were already there, but I just did not know, and I wasn't able to see it at the time. And so now here I am with this wake up. Hey, Dr. Marnie, thank you for joining me. Yes, ma'am. It's just such an awesome thing, when we connect with people that are so like minded, and we didn't even know that that many people existed in the world. And so that is a part of, the thing that really gets me. And that just is like, oh my God, it's like, oh my God. So when I started my journey, and I started with Reiki, and so I became a Reiki master, because one thing about me is usually when I start something, I try really hard to complete it, because that's a thing for me. I just feel like that's what we need to do. Everybody doesn't feel that way, but that is the way that I feel. And so I did Reiki, and I did Reiki master. Even though I didn't resonate with it like I thought I would, but then there were other things in play there that I knew because of my religious upbringing. A lot of times, so many things are so contrary to what I grew up believing. Doesn't mean they weren't right, doesn't mean it was wrong. It just means that it was contrary. And so I didn't quite understand it or get it. And then until I started opening my eyes, and that was the thing that Reiki did for me. It started opening up my spiritual eyes to everything, and to realizing that everything is energy. Everything is energy. If you sit down and you look at it, and you look at all the things are energy. Everything is energy. Everything. So once you begin to realize that everything is energy, it kind of takes a lot of pressure off of you, actually. Um, but I'm grateful. I'm grateful. And so I started really looking into that. And then I think after that, I went and did theta healing. I did theta healing because that was calling to me as well. And I am still studying it. I still study my theta healing as well as my chakra healing. And I've taken a few other courses, like quite a few courses. I don't even want to go down that rabbit hole. I've done sacred soul alignment. I'm a practitioner of that. Um, I actually want to complete the level 2 next year for that. I'm also a radical guide DNA activation advanced practitioner as well. So that's something that these are all tools that I have undertaken to put in my belt, my tool belt, so that I can help other people to get through some things, because that is basically my mission. The reason why I'm here on this planet is to help people, to get through life and get through some of the shit that it's hard to get through and deal with, and make these changes and make these shifts and make these transformations. Hey, thank you for joining me um, on Instagram. And those of you watching on Facebook, thank you. And YouTube, Dr. Marnie as well. I appreciate that. But I just started just really reaching out to try to see what type of modalities that I wanted to work with, and what type of humans and what type of things I wanted to do. Because as we move on and as we awaken, things change. Our life gets on a different trajectory. It changes courses and we do different things. And so for me, that's very much the same. And I am multi-dimensional. So I do a lot of things, and I just realized that it's okay to do a lot of things and to be multi-dimensional and to not just want to be one dimensional, because that's just not even right anyway, and this doesn't feel good to me. So it feels good to me to be multi-dimensional. So in that, I found I got I was a part of this anthology, Unchain Me Mama, and there's me on the back right there. So that was an amazing book that I was a part of, that was talking about healing stories from our mothers, and all that, because I had a crazy story with my mom, and I desired for it to be healed. I wanted for it to be healed. So I'm going to raise. I'm going to read you a little bit of my story from my mom, because this is a part of it. This was a part of my waking up story as well, because in doing all that healing work that I was doing, it allowed me to understand that this is something that I needed, that I wanted. I wanted a solid relationship with my mother, and not a crazy one like the one that we had. So it was something that my grandmother really pushed for us to do. And my mom didn't know that she talked to me and told me before she left here that she wanted me to fix that relationship with my mom. And my mom said that my grandmother actually spoke to her and said the same thing to her. But we didn't know that each other had had that particular talking to. So when, we started to work on this relationship and stuff, it was like we were both ready, I believe. I believe we were both ready. So I'm going to read a little bit of this story to you that I wrote on my mom, and then I want to talk about, why I read the story and why I wrote it, and what I'm talking about today. So the name of the my chapter was on loving my mom, and it says, "Be still and know that I am God." Psalms 46:10. My mama's story is not one of tragedy. My story is one of forgiveness, transformation, and healing. I had to make up my mind to present this story, and I also consulted my mother because I felt she had the right to know, and she is aware of the way I felt about her for some time. Even though I knew it was the right thing to do, I had to find it in my heart to forgive her and allow her to be human and not just my mom. And it was still a process. Over the years, my mom and I experienced what I call a tumultuous relationship, which I truly believe made me become the woman I am, a don't take no shit adventurer. My mother was 18 years old when I was born. She was young and in love with my father, but they weren't together because she went to live with her family once she had me. My grandmother's my grandparents were an essential part of my life, as is common to many children born to teen moms. To me, my grandmother was my sun and my moon. We had a special relationship. She was there for me while my mom went to nursing school, so I had all the love I thought I needed. I secretly wished that she was my mom and treated her as such most of the time. In retrospect, this could possibly be the reason there was a disconnect between my mom and me. Once my mom finished school, we moved to Connecticut with my father to give him and my mom a chance to be together and us a chance to be a family. There are two types of young loves, the one that works out and the one that doesn't. Their young love did not work out. Mom said she tried as hard as she could to maintain a relationship with my father, but she was without success. We moved back in with my grandparents in Georgia, which was fine with me. Living with my grandparents, I knew I was loved. My grandmother sensed that I was special, and as I have been called peculiar. So she protected me against people who would take advantage of me because I had a pure heart and loved to help people. My mother, however, seemed bitter and anti men. She refused to talk about my father at all. It was as if she had just erased him out of our family picture. Being a sensitive, special child, I just didn't understand. Now, I have very few memories of that time, and I believe that I selectively blocked out memories that may have been painful. People do it all the time as a coping mechanism. Well, as time would have it, my mother found her current husband, my dad. It was an amazing love story that can be shared at another time, but suffice it to say that she loved him and he loved me. There was no shortage of love in my life, so there was never a problem for me. But I think a deeper disconnect formed because my mother didn't heal from her previous heartbreak, and I feel like it was taken out on me. I looked like my father, which may have caused her to have some disdain for me. I think through some of my ways, I reminded her of him. He was a free spirit, and so am I. Being a free spirit, I was not a child that worried about anything. And that's where I'm getting back to, where I'm not worried about anything. And it's a beautiful space to be in. So that was part of my story. And I I had a blast writing it, which for me, writing is not doesn't take long when I'm in the mood and when I'm in the place to do it. So I'm super excited. Hey, Patty, thank you for joining. I'm super excited because I'm really wanting to start a nonprofit, and that's what I'm doing now as well. But I also just want to help people to get their stories out because I believe that people have stories and I hear them all the time, and I wish I could just write them all. So, what I want to do is start a nonprofit in order to help me to do that. Because I really just, there are so many people out here with such amazing stories. Hey, thank you for joining. Um, Such amazing stories out here, and nobody's telling them. It's going to help us even in the future, I believe, because a lot of our families have stories that we only know because we've told it. It's not written down anywhere, nowhere. It's not written down. So when I wrote my story, this one, it's amazing. And it gave me opportunity to share things that I didn't think I would, to be honest with you. I was super vulnerable in that book, and I shared a lot of stuff, and I know that I shared it because I know that it would help people, and I knew that people could identify with a lot of the things that I shared and the things that I talked about. And I truly believe that it's helping a lot of people to heal. People are reading that book and realizing that they can get through anything. They can get through anything, And so that was a part of the reason why I wrote that and I shared that particular story, because I knew that there were people that were dealing with all this stuff in silence. And there were people that didn't have anybody to turn to, or couldn't talk to anybody, or didn't feel like people would understand, or, or like me, just didn't feel like people would understand because of the sheer nature of, the stuff that I had dealt with, and the way that society looks at things. So for me, that was like, I don't even know. I mean, it was something just to be able to get that all on paper. And so I realized that that is one of the things I love. And I love to hear the stories, even with the interviews that I've done. And Dr. Marnie, I just interviewed her. She's amazing. And so you should go watch her interview. But it's going to be amazing. And I'm just super excited just to be able to have the opportunity to do this in this life, because a lot of people don't have opportunities to do something that makes them feel good in this life. Sometimes we work, like I work a job like everybody else. I don't plan to be working that job for too much longer, praise Jesus. But right now I work a job, and it's, you know the blessed thing for me is that I can do it 2 days a week. I don't have to do it 4 or 5 or 3 or like, everybody else. I work 2 days a week. So that's really the blessed blessing of that. And that is the one thing that I am super grateful for. However, to be able to do something that, lights you up and that you just get so much joy from, the joy just comes in your soul, when you do it, when you after you finish, doing all the things at the office and working somebody else's fucking business and life and stuff like that. Once you finish that and you're able to walk and do your thing and take care of people on the level that you want to, and to be able to just, you know, just stand in peace and stand in grace and stand in love. And the one thing that I want to share is that people need to have some compassion. And that is one of the things. Matter of fact, I think that is my word for this month coming up. I already started it a little bit early, y'all. But compassion, that is the word. Compassion. We need to have compassion for people because people are going through some shit, y'all, right now. We're all going through some shit, but people individually are going through a lot of stuff and we don't know what people are dealing with. So we need to have compassion. And so for me to be able to help people to shift, and help them to take their energy to a whole nother level, another place, I absolutely love doing that. And I love listening to the stories. And I love when people share their stories. And I love to be able to just, help them to get it out into the planet. Hey, Lydia, thank you for joining. So that's what I'm talking about. You know, we got to really begin to have some compassion for people and really share love. And I don't care who they are. I don't care what they look like. I don't care what you feel about them. I don't give a shit about none of that. The thing is we need love out here to be shared. We need people to share love. And I'm not talking about that loving like bullshit. I'm talking about real love, not shame spiraling and not gaslighting and none of that stuff, because that is terrible. And every time I see it, I get pissed the fuck off. Pissed off because it doesn't have to be that way. We don't have to do that. We don't have to gaslight and, I mean, it's horrible. I hate that, you know. And so for me to help people to heal and also to help them to share their stories is nothing greater. And I that combination, every time I think about it, it just hits me so hard that I get to do this, that I get to do it, that I get to listen and hear the stories that you're telling. And then also, as I get this nonprofit formed and I can actually help people that have stories that, may not have money, because that is an issue, because it's not free to do it, but we can get it done. And I'm super excited about that. I'm super excited. So, if you are looking to join me in my next multi author book collaboration, which I have a couple coming up now, there's one about eating their young, which is, I'm putting that out for everybody that is in a profession where you eat your young. And that's almost all of them, because I used to think it was just medical or nursing, but it's not. It's law enforcement, is um, anything where there's groups of people, teaching the same way. Even, even in college, professors and universities and things like that. It's the same way, we eat our young. And so I'm looking for people to share stories about that, how they learn, how they were the eater, or how they learned how not to do that, or how, a situation flipped on them because they did that. I'm looking for stories about that. I'm looking for those stories. And so we are going to, my goal is to put these things out right at the first of the year. So by sometime in January, hopefully, we'll have everything done, um, and out, and we'll be bestsellers, because that is what the goal here is. So if you are interested in that, or if you're interested in just writing your story, whatever your story is, or sharing your poems or whatever, just reach out to me if that's something that you are interested in, because that is amazing thing. It is an amazing thing just to be able to share the story, because every time I get a review on my book, it warms my heart up. Every time somebody comes up to me and says, I finished your book, it was so good and it blessed me, and I'll say, did you leave me a review? Because that's the next thing, right? Leave me a review. And which I have to do a review on a book now, as a matter of fact, thinking about that. So again, thank you for hanging out with me. But this is my wake up story. So what's your wake up story? What are you waking up to? What are you waking up to see in your life? What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you waking up to see? Okay, so how is that helping you? And what is it you can do to help the planet? Because right now we need help all over the world. The planet needs help. So, what is it that you can do, and what are you doing to help the planet? How are you moving things forward? How are you moving the needle forward? All right. So, this is my story today. Thank you so much for hanging out with me and joining me. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. And like I said, if you're interested in participating in a multi author book collaboration, or if you are writing your story, you want to write your story, then hit me up. Send me a message. Thank you so much, Dr. Marnie. It's always good to be in your presence, because you're such a beautiful, sweet person. If you have not watched my show with Dr. Marnie, she's amazing. Make sure you watch her. She wrote God Came to My Garage Sale was the book I read, and it was so good. I really enjoyed it. So I'm recommending that. And Dr. Marnie, I'm gonna go back and look and see if I did a review, because if I didn't, I plan to, because that's how I try to roll. If I read it and I enjoy it, and even if I don't really enjoy it, if I read it, I'm gonna leave you a review, you know. So that's how I try to roll. And it's good not to expect other people to do it if you don't do it. So you can't have expectations for other people to do something that you can't do. All right. So again, thank you so much for hanging out with me. Thank you for joining me. I'll be back on again tomorrow, talk about something. Um, yeah. And then I'm going on my little vacation for my birthday. Because my birthday is Monday, y'all. My birthday is Monday. Monday. I'll be 53. I'm so excited. Monday. So y'all can send me Cash App. It's just my name, Dollar and Tammy Morrison. Cash App. PayPal. Unleash your true self. All of that. So again, thank you for joining me, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, evening, night, whatever, whenever you catch it. And if you are watching this and you are hitting the replay, thank you, thank you, thank you. And if you are not subscribed to my channel and you're on it, please subscribe. Thank you so much for joining me. Bye now.